So in this video, we're going to go over the properties of exponents in 5 minutes or less. So this table gives you a nice overview of the properties of exponents we're going to be talking about. So when we multiply powers with the same base, we're going to go ahead and add the exponents together. So x to the 7th times x to the 5th is x to the 7 plus 5, which equals x to the 12th. When we divide powers with the same base, we're going to subtract the exponents. So x to the 10th over x cubed becomes x to the 10 minus 3, which is equal to x to the 7th. When we take a power and raise it to another power, we're going to multiply the exponents. So x to the 4th to the 6th is going to be x to the 4 times 6, which is x to the 24th. When we find the power of a product, we're going to find the power of each factor and multiply them together. So x squared y to the 4th to the 3rd becomes x squared to the 3rd times y to the 4th to the 3rd. Well, then we're going to use the power of a power property to multiply those exponents. So this becomes x to the 6th, y to the 12th. When we find the power of a quotient, it's a similar idea. We're going to raise both the numerator and denominator to the power. So x to the 4th over y cubed to the 5th becomes x to the 4th to the 5th over y cubed to the 5th. And then we're going to use the power of a power property to multiply the exponents, which gives us x to the 20th over y to the 15th. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So if we have a to the 0, that's 1. If we have 343 x to the 4th y squared z to the 7th to the 0, that is still equal to 1. A negative exponent means we need to find the reciprocal. So if we have x to the negative 7th, that's going to become 1 over x to the 7th. So it's very important to remember that when you're working with exponent problems, work with the coefficients separately from the variables, because the coefficients will follow the standard rules of multiplication, division, whatever's going on in the problem, but then the exponents will follow the special exponent rules. So also when you're combining rules, when you have to use more than one in a problem, remember to follow order of operations. So let's try simplifying this expression. So I'm going to start off by pulling out the coefficients. So I have 4 times 5, and then I'm going to combine the terms that have the same base. So I have x squared times x cubed, and then I have y cubed times y to the 4th, and I have z to the 5th times z squared. So 4 times 5, I'm just going to multiply, so I get 20. And then x squared times x cubed, remember I need to add my exponents. So I have x to the 5th, and then I have y to the 3 plus 4, which is 7, and I have z to the 5 plus 2, which is 7. So this is now my simplified expression. So now let's try simplifying this quotient. Once again, I'm going to separate out the coefficients, and then I'm going to combine the terms that have the same base. So I have a to the 6th over a squared, b to the negative 5 over b squared, and then I have c to the 4th over c cubed. Negative 12 divided by 4 is going to be just regular division, so I have negative 3. A to the 6th over a squared, I need to subtract my exponent, so I have a to the 4th. Then I have b to the negative 5 minus 2, which is negative 7. C to the 4 minus 3, which is c to the 1. Notice here I have a negative exponent, so this needs to be rewritten with that exponent in the denominator, so I have negative 3a to the 4th c over b to the 7th. I wrote c by itself because c to the 1 is equal to just c. Now let's try simplifying this expression. So notice I have a power in the numerator, so I'm going to distribute that to every term. So that's going to give me 2 to the 3rd times x squared to the 3rd times y to the 3rd to the 3rd over 2x squared y to the 0. 2 to the 3rd is just 2 times 2 times 2, so that's going to be 8. And then x squared to the 3rd, I need to multiply my exponent, so I have x to the 6th. Y cubed to the 3rd is going to be y to the 3 times 3, which is 9. And that's over 2x squared y to the 0. So now I'm going to separate out my coefficients. So I have 8 over 2, and then I have x to the 6th over x squared, and then I have y to the 9th over y to the 0. 8 divided by 2 is just regular division, so I have 4. And then x to the 6th over x squared, remember I need to subtract my exponent, so I have x to the 4th. Y to the 9th over y to the 0, remember anything to the 0 power is 1. So this is y to the 9th over 1, which is equal to just y to the 9th. So I have 4x to the 4th, y to the 9th. So there you go. That's a review of the properties of exponents in 5 minutes or less.